do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And how are we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is that time. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, and along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report, we do one thing on this show, and that is we espouse a conservative agenda or the conservative ideology. I call it the conservative gospel. And we expose the lameness of the leftist agenda. And in doing so, our intent is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. So we're glad to have you with us tonight. And without any further ado, I want to bring on Joe from Dryer Report. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm wonderful there, Mad Prophet. Again, the show has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, so we cannot, or we are not intended to, diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any disease. Unless that disease is called what again?
Liberalism.
Yes,
the
exactly.
L word. The L word.
It's just a small L. We're just going to be really calm about it. We're not going to do anything. We're just there. I'm happy to be sharing the microphone with you and with our listeners tonight, John.
Yeah, I think I want to kind of open up our opening segment here as we get warmed up. When we come on, we just don't jump into things right away. I like to get a little bit warmed up and get a feel for things, see what's floating in the air, you could kind of say. And if I could, I'm very happy that I'm finally out of Facebook jail. And those of you who listen to us and maybe follow us on Facebook, we created a new group out there on Facebook called, surprisingly enough, the Conservative Syndicate. So if you go to facebook.com/groups/Conservative Syndicate, you'll be able to find that group. If you want to join, just ask. It's a public group. We don't bar anybody from coming in.
Not yet.
No, not yet anyway. Anyway, so just to let you know that it's out there. But the reason I bring that up is I've been kind of locked into a long dialogue with a couple of people out there regarding the intelligence of Democrats. And
well, we had that last night, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit. But it kind of, see, what we want to do this month, we're in the last month of the year. And, during in December of every year, there's certain things that I like to do. The last couple of weeks of the year, we'll be spending our time with our top 10 quotes, liberal quotes for the year, and top 10 conservative quotes for the year, or rhino quotes, however that comes out. Maybe we ought to have a category, a third category. We'll say the top 10 progressives, the top 10 rhinos, and then the top 10 conservatives, because there is a difference. Anyway, what I'd like to do with the rest of the month, though, is kind of let's tie the year's happenings together and let's try to do the best we can to kind of get a big picture here of what's going on, what happened during the year, and maybe we can project a little bit more into next year what we can expect to see. And the left is pretty predictable. You're just going to see more BS, more lies, more spin, more smear. That's pretty predictable. But I think we'd be less than honest if we didn't admit that the Republican Party is in some major kimchi. They're in some deep kimchi. They really got to, somebody's got to take a hold of this bull that is loose in the China shop and try to bring things to some type of order. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know, with Paul Ryan now being the speaker, I think I certainly think he's going to go the route of Mitch McConnell, in that we're not going to hear very much from him. We're not going to see very much from him.
We're going to have a version 2 of John Boehner.
Yeah, we're going to, and it's going to be more of the same. But I think Ryan is going to try to avoid things much like McConnell does. Boehner at least would come out and address him. He'd tell you what he was going to do, and then he would cave. But I think Ryan might take a different strategy. My whole point being is that a couple of the people that follow my posts on Facebook, one of them in particular made a comment about the fact that I refer to all Democrats as being stupid, that's a pretty blatant statement. And I think the post I originally posted was something along the lines of, people that support Trump at this point in the game, I don't think totally have their act together. But anybody that would vote for Hillary Clinton is bat crap crazy. And it was just a very short post. And this guy just got on my case about the fact that, how can you just say all Democrats are stupid? I said, it's simple. They are.
Well, look at it.
It's not rocket science.
I mean, when you got a person that that you would, if your child did that to you, you would punish them in some sort because they're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
And unless you want to raise your children up to be liars, you would punish your child and say, that is not how you behave.
Right.
Well,
right. So my big thing was, we got into the conversation went into this one area, my red zone, which is Christian Democrats. Okay. And I'm like, that's an oxymoron. Okay. That's a contradiction in terms. Well, there are Christians who are Democrats. No, there are Democrats who say there are Christians.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
Okay? You can't tell me that you can honor God and turn right around and say it's okay to harvest baby organs. You can't tell me that you can honor God and you believe Him and you're obedient to Him and then turn around and tell me that homosexual marriage is okay. So
yes, find either one of them in the Bible or the Constitution.
Right, yeah. So... and there's other things I could point out, but for the sake of time, I won't. The idea being is that many Democrats who claim to be Christians just call themselves Christians. And I think the conversation started basically around the fact that Donald Trump claimed to be Presbyterian, and somebody came out and said, "Well, do you know that Presbyterians are anti-Jews? They're anti-Israel," and so it kind of evolved. So it's been evolving, bouncing around all over the place. And so when we talk about the leftist platform, that's pretty much it. It's stupid. And stupid people will follow it. But on the right, we really need to take a look at, we are fractured at this point, much more than the left. The left is completely fractured. We are partially fractured. So I want to kind of spend a month trying to put pieces together from the year and coming to some type of summary of what's happened during the year, not for the purpose of just saying, oh yeah, life sucks, but for the purpose of saying, okay, now how can we take control of the narrative coming up in the next year, especially it being an election year? How can we on the right, how can real conservatives take control of the narrative and bring back some of the people that have lost their way? And that's really what I'm saying. A lot of people in the Republican Party have lost their way. Some of them are still wandering around out there trying to figure out who they're going to vote for and why. I put a poll out there today, and I'm hearing, I'm hearing stuff out there basically like, I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I don't know why I would vote for anybody at this point, that kind of stuff, which is really what the left wants. A confused Republican is a non-voting Republican, whereas a confused Democrat will just vote wherever they tell them to vote. So it's a big difference in philosophy in the way that we look at things. So that's kind of what we want to do. But how we do it today, it's going to be fun because we're going to go into we're going to wade into waters unseen today. So be prepared. Hang on to your hats. We got to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll launch into today's festivities. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. Catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, and we're back. Glad you took the time to join us tonight. You are listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels from Trial Report. And I'd like to open up today's festivities. I was going to do this yesterday, but I really believed what Joe had for us yesterday was more relevant for the moment. But there's this thing, this I'm going to say this common theme that we're seeing more and more of out of Barack Obama. And, well, we're probably hearing it more from him than anybody else on the left, although I'm sure all of his cronies agree with the concept. And that is, this idea that the America that is out there today, the America that is opposing illegal immigration, the America that is opposing redistribution of wealth, the America that is opposing executive orders, government by decree, that type of stuff, is not the America that we really are. And I keep going back to this. It's a common thread. It's a common theme. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it is probably the few words that really sum up the Obama administration, what he intended to do when he came in office, what he has been doing since he's been in office, and what he will continue to participate in after he's left office. And that is the fundamental transformation of the United States of America. And one of the phrases he uses whenever he's talking in terms of this fundamental transformation is that this is not what America is. This is not who we are. He's talking about...
This is not who we are.
We'll tell you, if he's talking about taxes, people not wanting to pay taxes, that's unpatriotic. It's not who we are. If we talk about immigration and wanting to enforce immigration laws, that's not who we are. We don't want to let terrorists in through the refugee program that's coming down the pipe here from Syria. It's not who we are. Everything is about who Obama thinks we are, who Obama wishes we were. So in line with that, one of the things that happens every year, if you don't know, Rush Limbaugh does a segment on his show called The True Story of Thanksgiving. Okay, so I've never really listened to the whole thing. I've caught parts of it throughout the years, if I'm in my car. I'm not a avid Rush Limbaugh fan, so I don't wait by my radio for him to come on. And he does this thing talking about what the Pilgrims did when they came over and the obstacles that they came across and this, that, and the other. And a lot of these things are historically documented. William Bradford, who was the first mayor of the Pilgrim establishment, wrote and recorded a lot of this stuff. We know that I think at the time that the Pilgrims landed, there was like over 100 of them. I think it's the number, I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like 122, 124 Pilgrims actually made it over. And there was more than that, but they ended up having to split the group up and leave some of them there because of logistics problems. I think one of the ships that they originally had planned on going didn't make it, that kind of thing. So in the first year they were here, half of those people died. And from there, the Pilgrims began to build their settlements and learn how to farm and had some help with the Indians. I'm just paraphrasing the story. But the first Thanksgiving was in appreciation of the fact that they had survived, and they wanted to give thanks to God for that. And so they had this Thanksgiving, and you've seen all the pictures with the Indians eating dinner with them and all this other stuff. Well, Vox, which is a very leftist slanted publication, came out with this really lengthy article by Ben Norton from Salon magazine, in which he basically just says everything Rush Limbaugh told you is a lie. Okay? And the title of his article is Rush Limbaugh's True Story of Thanksgiving is a lie-filled load of stuffing that turns villains into victims. And the subheading says, Tea Party Thanksgiving Mythology bludgeons socialism with lies while covering up capitalist genocide of natives. Okay, so there's a mouthful for you.
So it's going to be unbiased.
It's going to be really unbiased. And in just a few words, the entire narrative, the leftist narrative on capitalism is exposed here. Tea Party Thanksgiving mythology. The Tea Party came up with this story, Okay.
Yeah, and it's a myth. It's not written down. It's a myth. It never really happened. It's just a myth.
Right. Now, Rush Limbaugh,
like the myth that there was a video that caused the Benghazi riots.
Well, here's the thing. This story is recounted out of Rush Limbaugh's book, his first book that he ever wrote back in 1994. He wrote a book called "See, I Told You So." Okay. Now, that chapter, it was lifted out of a chapter in that book called "Dead White Guys or What the History Books Never Told You." And that's out of Rush Limbaugh's 1994 book, "See, I Told You So." And it's the true story of Thanksgiving, as Limbaugh recounts it, historically, right? But for some reason, this has become Tea Party mythology. The Tea Party was established, in 2010? 5 years ago? Okay.
2010, I believe. Probably a little bit before that, because it actually stood for it, and that guy was up. Hey, you taxed enough already? Tea Party.
Yeah, I think the movement started like in 2009, but it was really recognized during the 2010 election cycle when they actually did something. Okay, and so it became the Tea Party, which was originally called an AstroTurf group. All of a sudden had roots, and it did something. It accomplished something. I think we took some seats, and we beginning the downfall of the 900 plus governors or legislation seats that Obama lost, and the 67 House seats, and the 17 Senate seats, or whatever those numbers are. Okay. But it was this story that Limbaugh first recanted back in 1994 has somehow become the Tea Party myth. Okay, so that's we want to establish that up front. But this Tea Party Thanksgiving mythology bludgeons socialism with lies while covering up capitalist genocide of natives. So the real story, just reading that, is that socialism worked for the Pilgrims, and they killed everybody that wasn't a Pilgrim. That's basically it. Okay, they were racist, probably homophobes too, because we know homosexuality was probably so rampant in those days. The hunted down and searched out the genderqueers, all the other stuff, like that, because that's what conservatives do. We're racist, homophobic bigots. So that's what we do. We go out and we look for everybody that's not us, and we kill them. Or we oppress them, or we take everything from them, whatever combination of things you want to say there. But here's the deal. I want to just make a couple of comments on this, because we're only going to spend this segment on this, because we've got other things to talk about here. One of the things that Limbaugh talks about here is the fact that in the beginning, the Pilgrims began with a type of communistic community. And that was everything. It was called the Common Collective, okay? And what they did was everybody did something, and then they threw everything in the pot, and then it was, distributed out to everybody. And what happened was they did that for the first couple of years. Now, the claim is after that, they quit doing it. And the reason they quit doing it, Bradford, the mayor, records in his diary.
Actually, he was the governor.
Governor. Okay, I'm sorry, governor. He said, Plymouth Colony Governor, William Bradford. And the collective was called the Common Course. Now, what he said was they did that for like 2 years, and then they quit doing it because what he recorded in his diary was this. He said basically, there was no incentive for anybody to do anything. In the beginning, it was survival. Everybody kicked in and everybody did something. But after a while, they decided, I'm making this effort, doing all this work, and the guy next to me isn't working as hard, and he's getting just as much as I'm getting. So they quit doing that, and they kind of evolved into this type of capitalistic type of thing, of bartering, trading with the Indians and stuff like that, and eventually it came into the gold and silver, and the what do they call it, dualism kind of thing. So the point is that this writer, Ben Norton, wants to point out the fact that there could not have been a Thanksgiving had socialism not worked, because they wouldn't have had anything to be thankful for. Okay, they had the governor called for this feast because socialism worked so well, and that was why they prospered. Okay, so everything Limbaugh told us is wrong. Okay, but here's another thing that they brought that Bradford recorded in his diary. The other issue that they had was once they went into this idea of bartering, basically evolved from socialist, communist kind of thing into more like capitalists. What happened was news got out there over in Europe, and guess what happened? They had a sudden influx of immigrants. And the immigrants were coming over for what? For handouts. Okay? The immigrants were immigrating from England. They heard, hey, man, the Pilgrims guys, they found something. They discovered something. I want a piece of it. Okay?
Oh, geez. Really? There's documentation about why they wrote down why they came to our land here. Why they made that transatlantic voyage.
Yeah, well, historian Richard Pickering.
Handouts.
Historian Richard Pickering said this. He said the common course was abolished, but it was not abolished because it didn't work. It actually worked fine, but rather because the colonists simply did not like it. And the reason they didn't like it was, he writes, this grumbling had more to do with the fact that the Plymouth colony was bringing together settlers from all over England at a time when most people never moved more than 10 miles from home. They spoke different dialects and had different methods of farming and looked upon each other with great wariness. So it was the immigration that caused them to say, hey, we're not going to do this because we're bringing over people that aren't going to contribute to what we're doing, but are going to take from what we're doing. Wow, what a concept. Gee, I wonder where that, you know what they say, people that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, right?
Jeez.
So I thought that was worth mentioning here, that it wasn't that socialism didn't work. You know, I believe that socialism, if you have the right number of people doing it, will work. A small number of people. Maybe Sweden does do it right.
No, I refute that premise. We had socialism here. We had it in Jamestown, and you had approximately, 120 people here. And it didn't work then because, like you said, Mr. Smith was over there sitting on his dead butt all summer long, not doing a damn thing. And then in the wintertime, he wanted to eat the stuff that I was growing all summer, and I went out and foraged for and cotton and everything. Why should I have to bust my butt to feed his happy butt? That's what happened then. He's more describing Jamestown than he was Plymouth Rock. So I'm sorry. No, socialism doesn't work. Has never worked ever. I don't care how many people you got, because you can't make everything in life fair.
No, because see, this is the thing. Socialism is a derelict magnet. When people know that something is being given away for nothing, they're attracted to that. And if you're somebody that doesn't want to do anything, you're going to be attracted to that. You know? And so what happens is
traveling 6,000 miles to go all the way up to the northern border of Finland and try to get into Finland that way, only to find the borders closed.
Yeah, and so what do we have? What they were dealing with is what I call the transient mentality. The transient mentality. I've worked with transients in ministry. They have a circuit that they work. Believe it or not, there are professional transients out there. And what they do is they have a circuit. They go from church to church, shelter to shelter, charity to charity.
Warm weather village to warm weather village.
They know on any given day, this is where I can go and get a meal, and I can go here and get a place to sleep, and this, that, and the other. You know, and I've known people. I've worked with people in ministry that have been transients for 5, 10, 15 years. And when you ask them, well, why don't you want to do anything with your life? It's like, I don't feel like it. You know, we're not talking about people that are down on their luck. We're talking about people that have I'm not saying everybody's like that, okay? I'm not generalizing. Okay, but what I'm saying is there's a large population out there of people that just, hey, you know, I just live for today, and what I eat today, fine. What I can wear today, where I can sleep, it's no big deal. Okay, so that's what socialism attracts. It attracts the transient, the person that wants everything handed to them and given to them for nothing, and they just show up.
Yeah, well, being the capitalists that we are, John, we should probably go to a break and make some money.
Yeah, we got to go to break, and when we come back, we'll get into something else. I didn't want to spend the whole show on this, but I just thought it's worthy to let you know that we're just seeing history repeat itself right now. That's basically it. That's the Obama regime, okay? Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Life line right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Life line right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
And we're back. You are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. I just want to say this one last thing here, and then I'm going to shift this. We're going to hand the con over to Joe because he's got some good stuff today. In this article, before the writer begins to lambaste the Pilgrims as killers and genocidists and all the bad things that America really stands for in the eyes of people like him and Obama, one of the lines in here says Limbaugh's true story of Thanksgiving is just another example of the big lie. And the more Tea Partiers repeat it, the more it is believed to be true, simply by virtue of having it so often been repeated. Now, if that is not the mantra of the leftist agenda, I don't know what is. This is exactly what we're talking about. The left is out there, Obama's out there every single day, almost, telling the world that America, this is not the America that we are. And he's repeating it and repeating it. Everything is, we got to do it now. It's the right thing to do. And this is not America. This is not who we are. These people understand that if you repeat the lie enough, it becomes the truth. And I think we had, who was that guy? Goebbels, the Nazi Goebbels. That you just keep telling the lie, and at some point it punches through, and it becomes the truth. And so here these people, this is what's so great about liberals, is that they can tell you exactly what they are and what they believe, and do it in such a way that you just say, well, that makes sense. That makes sense, This guy just recited the entire leftist mantra. The more you say it, it will become true just because you repeat it.
And also, the bigger it is, the better it is.
Yeah.
The lie. If you can make the lie just humongous, like, I don't know, like the weather causes terrorism.
Right. Yeah. Or that polar bears somehow forgot how to swim because an iceberg melts.
Yeah, like polar bears
are going to drown.
Iceberg.
What do you mean? Because the iceberg melted. Oh my God! Global warming is going to drown the polar bears. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's stay on one iceberg. It's called the polar bear iceberg. And
Yeah.
when that sucker melts, they're in trouble.
Oh, lordy. Okay. Anyway, shifting gears here. But we are kind of in the same theme here because we're talking about how the left just repeats lie after lie after lie, and at some point in time it becomes truth. I was thinking of Jake Trapper was interviewing with a campaign manager for Donald Trump. All of a sudden the media seems really concerned about the integrity and the truthfulness of what people like Donald Trump and Ben Carson are saying. All of a sudden, there's this big issue of integrity. Where was it? Where's it been for the last 100 years, for crying out loud? So, anyway, Joe, the con is yours.
Well, where's it been when Hillary said, "Hey, there was a video out there," and that's what caused an attack on our consulate or temporary facility, as she said in her testimony in front of the committee. Yes, it was temporary, so we really didn't have to provide security. Where were they worried about, truth and integrity and that kind of stuff when she was talking or spewing out her stuff? But yeah, I don't know. Hey, does anybody? Hey, welcome to 1 December. Yesterday was 30 November, and so yesterday, along with it being the end of hurricane season, which us in Florida celebrate, we made it through a whole another year without a major storm hitting Florida. hey, there's 10
that's
years.
That's got to be because of
weather's out
climate
to kill
change.
Florida now.
Yeah, that's got to be because of climate change, right?
No, I don't say climate change. I say the weather.
Okay.
It's the weather. Because the weather changes every day. And I'm not a megalomaniac to think that man has some control over the weather, because if man had control of the weather, I know personally at least 3 weeks out of the year, out of the month, every month of the year, we would have 75 to 78 degree temperatures and about 50% humidity. And then there'd be 1 week of rain, and it'd only get down to about 62 tops as a low, and you'd have rain. Now, I don't mean deluge rain. I mean, it'd be like the rain that you'd have out there to water your yard with, which you would get arrested for in California. But that would, if I was that megalomaniac that thinks that man has control over the weather, that's how the weather would be.
Wow.
You're not buying that?
Well,
what? Stunned silence from the prophet.
Oh, I lost my train of thought there. I was, I'm looking at some of the stuff you sent me, and I was kind of lost in a daze there. But get
back on track.
We
in the hurricane season. Also, yesterday was the fact that they released 7,000 more emails from Hillary Clinton and her work emails. Okay, that's where I was going with that. Okay, sorry.
No, that was my bad. I was reviewing, scanning through some of the documents that you sent me here. So, but yeah, it's the same thing out here in California. Our big thing is of course the drought. The drought, and you would think for all intents and purposes, the conversations that are going on and the regulations that are coming. We get mail now from. I kind of wonder. What could you build water plants with the amount of money it costs to send me a flyer telling me to conserve water? And this stuff now, it isn't just a flyer anymore. It isn't just like a postcard or anything. I'm now getting these stuffed envelopes with legal size paper in them, with all the rules and regulations as to what we can and cannot do with our water. You know that in California now, if you're reported by your neighbor, which they encourage neighbors to report, if you're caught watering your lawn within 48 hours after it rains, you can be fined for that. Okay? Now, of course, we're not getting any rain. But this whole thing about conserving water, I don't know how much money the city of Norwalk just spent to put signs out on the medians, on the road. Do you have that in Florida? You have medians with like grass and trees separating the lanes of the streets?
No, Florida's a barren desert type land with no vegetation at all. We're lucky that we don't live in any kind of land like that where you have plants and trees and animals.
Well, I have not been to Florida in probably 30 years, so I don't know what it looks like now. But I'm just saying out here, out in California, everything is visual. So when we build streets, we have to put medians in the middle of the street, and then we have to put rock and grass and trees and shrubbery and stuff so that it looks really nice as you're driving down the street, flipping the guy off in front of you. So anyway, they have put out all over the city signs, professionally printed signs, telling us that they're conserving water, so therefore they're not watering the grass. And I'm thinking, who the hell cares?
Is the grass look like it's been watered?
No, it's not been watered.
Brown.
I'm like, well, before it was all these signs that said things like, we're using reclaimed water to water. Now we're not even using reclaimed water. So now I'm wondering, where's that reclaimed water going?
And is it brown grass?
Well, the point being is they put out signs telling us that they're using reclaimed water. Now all those signs have been replaced by signs saying we're not even watering. And I'm thinking
that would be pretty obvious by the color of the grass.
Yeah, you would think so, huh?
Yeah, most days.
And then the other thing that's happening. See, here's the capitalistic side. Let me just say this for a real second.
Is there a sign maker making money?
Yeah, people are making money off this. How do I know? People are converting their lawns not to grass, but to concrete, stone, and planters. And people all over my street here, they're taking their lawns out and they're putting gravel with nice stepping stones, designed and all this stuff with little planters with their little trees and stuff like that.
Wow!
So Home Depot's raking in right now. They're making a ton of money.
It sounds like what they do in the deserts of Arizona.
Yeah, what a concept, huh?
Oh,
anyway.
So the weather. So people are adapting to the weather.
Yeah, they're adapting to the claim that weather, the hoax of weather, the weather hoax.
It's either raining or it's not raining.
Yeah. Yeah, because see, when you do that kind of stuff out here, you get tax credits. Okay, you can't deduct your mortgage anymore, but you get tax credits for putting stone in place of the grass.
Oh my good. Well, we're late for a break, but I want to mention something about that. Really, that's great. Okay,
yeah. We got to go to break. When we come back, well, we're going to get into Joe's stuff here. I didn't mean to go off like that. Okay. I just thought it was funny. We'll be back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, and you want to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can pick up the archive for this show, any of our shows. You can find out anything you want to know about our conservative panel, Conservative Syndicate panel. It's all there, theconservativesyndicate.net. Okay, back to, I'm going to hand this over to Joe this time and not interrupt, because Joe's got something to actually talk about here, and I kind of went off on a little thread last time. Jumped in that rabbit hole again.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all good stuff, John. I mean, that's more probably lighthearted and entertaining, and just keeps our mind off of the silliness that is out there that we have from our current leadership in our government. So it's like, wow, okay, but whatever. It's all good. Hey, so Hillary had some emails released, like 7,800 pages of emails released from the State Department. How convenient. I'm glad they really do that. And it's really awesome to see. So I was just going through some of these. If you did a search for the emails, just to put that there, if you did a search, you'd end up with a total of 119,849 results come back from just searching for emails from Hillary on the State Department, on the FOIA State Department site there. So I mean, just a couple thousand between us friends, it's okay. So they finally released it, and a lot of these emails are exactly how we would expect them to be as they were released from the government. There's big squares and holes in them from redactions taking place, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, if we recall, the reason why I'm kind of concerned about the emails is because we lost an ambassador and some other brave Americans trying to defend our temporary facility in Benghazi, Libya, and so. It was just I just wanted to go back and see if we can glean any tidbits of fun here from this, and say. Just interesting stuff. So on Wednesday, September 12th, this is from somebody that was I don't know who this person is. It's SBWHOEOP, and they take out. It must be a commercial email address because the @ and whatever is left has been redacted. All right, and especially a sent from. So I don't know who this person is, but the subject line was, and remember, this is September 12th, 2012, the day after the attack, and it says, meet the right-wing extremists behind anti-Muslim field that sparked deadly riots. And so that was from this person sent to Hillary Clinton, sent to H. So it was sent to H. So H got it and said, hey, she sends it to one of her minions at the State Department, says, please print this out. And if you print that out, it's an article from none other than Sidney Blumenthal's brother, Max.
Okay, Max is the one that claimed the right-wing extremist. He's not the right-wing extremist.
No. He's saying that the right-wing extremist made a video that caused these riots. That then proceeded to have our facility attacked.
Okay, now, wasn't there something along earlier on about these things about Sidney Blumenthal sending Hillary emails about what was going on the ground in Libya before this all happened?
Oh, yes, there certainly was. He was sending emails out, and we talked about it before, way back when we talked about it. Then he was talking about at confidential. Here's what the leadership, the transitional leadership in Libya has to say about this and that. And he also said a month prior. I didn't go back into the emails that far because I didn't have enough time today to go through these 120,000 emails to see where it was at. But he went back a month before and said, hey, just kind of be aware they might use a demonstration to mask an attack. A month prior to the actual attack, which they use a demonstration to mask an attack. Okay. That was from Sydney, from Sid to H.
Okay, so we can kind of presuppose then that what we're talking about here is that maybe the brother of Sidney Blumenthal might have been the one suggesting that the video be used as the reason why the attack came on the compound, or was this just something that...
It certainly seems that way. I mean, it was the day after, and it was like, wow, where'd this come from? And it was like, wow, Hillary liked it enough to say, hey, come on and print this thing out for me, will you?
Okay, so let's just back up a little bit. Let's try to put some of the details in order here. Susan Rice was out telling the media, and therefore America, that the attack on the Libyan compound was due to a video that originally was shown in Egypt, but had somehow been, through social media, put out in a place where people in Libya heard about it.
And that's supposed to be on YouTube or something.
Yeah, okay. The link was sent out for social media or something, but the video didn't surface in Libya. Libya was responding to something that originally was supposed to have taken place in Egypt.
Well, before we get, hey, John, let's just talk about this. All right, here's what we're talking about, and this is from. Okay, this is from a little bit later. This is about 1 October. It came from Caitlin Keverick, all right, to Cheryl Mills, which is Hillary's little do-gooder, all right. So Cheryl sent it on to Hillary, and just so you know, and basically Benghazi was Obama's 3 a.m. call, and basically it talked about blah 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 Obama. But and this was from a Stevens at Global View. And Global View, 1 October 2012, Stevens, Benghazi was Obama's 3 a.m. call. Libya was a failure of policy and worldview, not intelligence. All right, but at the end of the piece, because it's too long to talk about, but here's the narrative, and here's exactly how here's how the administration. See if it doesn't ring a bell. This is what the administration was saying, and I get. All right, so. No doubt the administration would like now to shift blame to Clapper, okay, CIA, NSA, the intelligence community. All right, shift blame to Clapper. But what happened in Benghazi was not a failure of intelligence, it's a failure of policy stemming from a flawed worldview and political need of an election season. Sound familiar? Let's review. The U.S. ignores warnings of a perilous security situation in Benghazi. Nothing happens because nobody's really paying attention, especially in an election year. Okay. And because Libya is supposed to be a foreign policy success, when something does happen, the administration's concerns for the safety of Americans is subordinated to considerations of Libyan sovereignty and the need for permission. After the attack, the administration blames a video, perhaps because it would be politically inconvenient to note that Al-Qaeda was far from defeated, and that we were no more popular under Mr. Obama than under George W. Bush. Denouncing the video also appeals to the administration's reflexive habits of blaming America first. Once that story falls apart, it's time to blame the intel munchkins and move on. It was 5 in the afternoon when Mr. Obama took his 3 a.m. call, and he still flubbed it. That's the narrative, and that's what the entire administration was trying to fight against. That right there.
Well, the thing that I find interesting about this, I mean, we've rehashed this. It's been rehashed a lot of different ways, and that's actually the desire of the left, is that we rehash it to such a degree that we just finally say, okay, it's irrelevant to talk about anymore. But it's not irrelevant because still nobody's been held accountable for the loss of 4 American lives, including our ambassador. And the thing that strikes me on this that I had not really thought about, I have to be honest here, I had not really even thought about it, was who actually originated the concept of blaming the video. Where did that originally come from?
Well, I see the email comes right from Sidney Blumenthal's brother.
Yeah. Now that in and of itself, see, that's news to me. That's something that I had never considered before. We get into these debates about the video, and nobody ever really came down and said who is the one that came up with the idea. Who actually said, "Hey, let's blame this video." Well, we don't have that. Intelligence says it came from Obama. Obama says it came from intelligence. Where did it actually come from? And it looks like what it came from was somebody outside the government who was already doing stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing. Sidney Blumenthal was relaying information to Clinton. We know that there was classified information exchanged between these two, and now the brother steps into the scene. Hey, I could see him sending an email to Sidney. Hey, Sid, guess what? If you need something to blame, let's lay it off on a video. I don't know how that thought or that idea or that excuse, whatever you want to call it, I don't know where that originated, and I don't know how it made its way into the process where somebody in the government said, oh, yeah, let's pick this up and run with it.
Yeah. Run with that, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like to me it may have originated with this guy. What's his name? Max Blumenthal?
Max Blumenthal.
Wow. Now, if something like that was uncovered if nothing else, that would certainly affect the court of public opinion. I mean, obviously, the government doesn't give a rat's ass about it, but in the court of public opinion, that would certainly shine some new light. And maybe somebody like Jake Tapper, who's so worried about what Donald Trump said about Muslims on 9/11, cheering in New Jersey, maybe somebody would pick that up and say, wow, maybe we should investigate this. Maybe this is a story that will make some unknown journalist famous if they actually were able to uncover this.
It's right out there in the open.
Yeah, but we're not going to see that from people like Jake Tapper. They're more worried about what Donald Trump said about something on 9/11 about Muslims in Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, like, who cares what Muslims in Jersey were saying on 9/11?
I know I don't.
It's kind of after the fact, you know.
Yeah, well, this is
who
after
cares?
the fact, too, but this is more our government. Anyway, John, we're at the top of our hour.
Yeah, well, we're at the top of the hour here. We got to take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here. Right now, it's time for the Edwards Notebook. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Finally, more and more Americans are waking up to the truth about the White House occupier. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, for years, many Americans have proclaimed that President Barack Hussein Obama is incompetent. I, on the other hand, saw him as a calculating, highly intelligent hater of America, American values, and even Christian influences. I would correctly point out how the president squelched any and all efforts to pass bills or conduct foreign policy to benefit American interests. In fact, Mr. Obama is probably the first U.S. president to openly battle against making our republic safer against enemies who have openly threatened to send Muslim terrorists into our nation through our open borders, which Obama has fought against closing to stem the tide of illegal immigrants filing into America every minute of every single day. After the horrific Muslim attack in Paris, Obama only had harsh words for the Republicans who questioned his lack of leadership in the growing worldwide battle against Islamic terrorists. In fact, Mr. Obama doubled down on his efforts to swear more and more aid to our enemies by increasing his importation of Sharia-compliant Islamic refugees, all at the expense of our republic. Saul Alinsky would be proud to witness the legacy of America's greatest traitor-in-chief. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, weighing against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And we're back, and this is hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. And I just have one quick comment I want to make. We were talking about the email situation here before the break. And sure. as we during the break here, I just happened to run across an article published on PJ Media that Major Jason Bresler, who was found guilty. He's a Marine Reserve. Okay, he was found guilty of storing classified information on a unsecured server. The information was dealing with, I think we talked about this before, it was about an Afghan police chief named Anwar John who was a pedophile.
Yeah, he was raping boys.
Right, and he reported it, and it was the information, I guess, included something that was classified in it. Well, this man is now being separated from the Marine Corps, dishonorable discharge, and Hillary Clinton is still running for president.
That is true. And that brings up another point about the email I said about the video. That came from her ClintonEmail.com. It was not her State Department email server, and so that's something to keep in mind. I neglected to point that out when I first said it and brought it to our attention today. But it did come from her Clinton her private email server. And here's how much time we got. Okay, we got a couple minutes. Okay, so hey, John, here's I just want to kind of get to the attitude of Clinton in the email. This is not about being forthright and truthful and being honest and open about any of this. And this came from Felipe Reigns, and it was sent to Hillary, and it was talking about Patrick F. Kennedy of the Kennedys. And subject was Pat. And it said, ma'am, you would have been so proud of Pat. He ended a really difficult day, not just for him, but for the whole department he represents, exhibiting and restoring the dignity of the 60,000 plus people that Darrell Issa and his henchmen unsuccessfully tried to take away. And then Cyril Mills, as part of the chain, goes, yay! And then Jake Sullivan goes, amen! And then Felipe, Mr. Reigns, once again says, Caroline, that would be, I think, a cousin or something like that of the Kennedys, one of them, I think she's got an ambassadorship to something, but that's beside the point. Caroline had the great idea of getting Pat a Someone at State Loves You t-shirt. if you want to go, if you want to give it to him yourself, store opens at 8 a.m. We can get it to you before 8:45 a.m. And hfromherquentin.com email goes, great idea. Thanks to each of you for your great care and dedication and shepherding everyone through the last weeks. And this was 10 October 2012. Yay! Go get yourself a T-shirt. Someone at State loves you. I wonder if they got that for the families of our dead Americans from Benghazi.
Yeah.
Somebody at State loves you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, someone at State loves you. Mwah! From H. Oh, I just feel so warm.
Well, you think some of those people who lost their loved ones over at Benghazi might get a T-shirt saying Barack Obama got elected and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, I got my family member killed in Benghazi, and all I got was this lousy "Someone from State Loves Me" T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Awesome. I just wanted to kind of bring that up. You know, the whole tone was that those henchmen from Darrell Issa, those evil guys.
Yeah, what exactly did
people? You know,
what exactly did that involve? What henchmen? I mean, what 60,000 people are they talking about?
Who knows? Probably wherever department he's talking about. You know, I'm sure it was probably testifying in front of ICE's committee. And so him and his henchmen those evil guys.
I get it. Well, there was some mention of 60,000 people there somewhere, and I went, what did they talk about, immigrants?
6,000 plus. Yeah, I don't know it didn't reference that, so I can't, I guess we could find out if I wanted to find out what Patrick Kennedy was testifying in front of or talking to ISA about. But, I just wanted to bring out the tone of the email and this, hey, get a T-shirt, and that ought to make things better.
Yeah.
Well, really?
Well, maybe that's what we should do over in Syria. Maybe we should be handing out T-shirts. You know?
Yeah, we could get them all Pink Floyd concert T-shirts or something, man.
Yeah, I'm an undocumented Obama supporter. We'll give them that T-shirt. Or maybe Hillary could give her one of her campaign T-shirts.
Hope and change. Hope and change.
Yeah, put the H and then point the arrow down like hell.
Or we could get them those purple and yellow SEIU T-shirts, the union T-shirts. I'm a union rebel.
Okay, this is our short segment. We're going to go to a break here. When we come back, we'll get into some other stuff here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, and of course, my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. And Joe, I know you got some more stuff here you wanted to cover here on this email stuff.
Yeah, this is. I'm having so much fun doing this because it really, Hillary. As much as you dislike Jeb ! Quadruple that for me and Hillary. I can't stand this woman, and the fact she's still out running for president really says a lot. We were talking about the Democrats. This right here, all you have to do is say, you're still rooting for Hillary? You got to be kidding me. But that's beside the point. So, it's September, and it's 2012, and our facilities had just been attacked less than a week prior. We're less than a week into that, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And we're trying to go, oh my goodness! It was a video, and it was like, they're going to make sure, and they're trying to make sure they contain everything, John. They don't want the wrong story to get out. And I found this series of emails to be a little interesting. This was September 18th. This was a Tuesday. The consulate facility, the temporary facility, was attacked the previous Tuesday. So it's exactly 1 week out from the attack. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we have a Farah Pandith sends an email to Cheryl Mills and Jake Sullivan, and she goes, and the subject is, our response to the riot, can I be helpful?
Say that again?
She goes, our response to the riots, can I be helpful?
Wow. So
she goes, dear Cheryl and Jake, hope you're all well. Wow. I want to make sure I'm being as helpful as possible to develop our thinking about a mid and long-range term strategy following the ongoing riots around the world in the aftermath. Check this out. In the aftermath of the Danish cartoon crisis, which happened when I was at the NSC, I helped develop a way forward on how to respond to it.
Wow.
How are we? What's our position going to be? And she goes, I learned a lot through the Danish and Dutch and other instances of how they spread throughout the Middle East and Asia, and these cycles these things take, especially the messaging challenges of our diplomats face on the ground. And okay, so she wanted to talk to him. And he goes, and also the terms and talking points for the immediate response. A couple things that we are not saying loud enough. Parallels. This is parallel to the Danish cartoon, where the Muslims rioted because of the cartoon in the newspaper in Denmark. Remember that?
Oh yeah, and then when I'm with you there. I was thinking also the bombing of that Hebdo, but that took place after all.
That was way after that.
Yeah, that took place. That was just last year or something like that.
That was actually like 10 months ago, John. That was 2015, man.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Time flies.
That just happened.
Time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yeah. When the weather's really crazy out there, the terrorism really just mounts and builds up.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So they wanted to use the parallels of the Danish cartoon. That's what this person was. And remember, she is sending this off to Cheryl Mills and Jacob Sullivan.
Uh-huh.
So she's sending this off to them, right? And so,
you can see a pattern here.
Well, yes. Here, let me just get. She talks about two other talking points that she should go ahead and use that she learned from her experience with the Danish thing. But in the last thing, I realize that events are moving quickly, and there are conversations about how and what we should be doing. I would be happy to add my voice and perspective to those discussions if you feel it would be useful. Thanks, Fran. All right, and she was a special representative to Muslim communities in the State Department. That's who Fran is. All right, and Fran sent that off to Cheryl, and Cheryl sent that up to Hillary. Just, hey, for your information. And Hillary goes, I thought she was being consulted. She should be copying Jake. Yes, that was from her Clinton email server.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought she was being consulted. She should be. copying Jake, which I thought that was probably pretty interesting that she, I don't know. Maybe she was a little out of the loop.
So where we stand right now on all this stuff is all we're going to do here is we're just going to hear more stuff that nobody's going to really do anything with, right?
Oh, absolutely. Nothing's going to come in this. I just want to make sure that it's out there on the airwaves and people can go and they can go and check this stuff out. If you go to FOIA.state.gov and do a search for it, HROD or whatever, you want to do Clinton emails, put it in there and get your search terms done, and you should be able to find this stuff, which is fairly simple. Now, that was done on 18th of September, all right? 3 days prior, all right, the 15th of September, which would have been a Saturday, the Saturday after the attacks, all right?
Okay.
This is going out to all kind of people, including people in the White House, i.e., Benjamin J. Rhodes.
Well, those of you listening out there, you might be saying the same thing it's going through my head is, well, all this stuff is being revealed, but will it do anything? Will it cause anything? Well, I would say this. What we're doing here is we're trying to give you something that if you happen to be, Christmas coming up and you're hanging out with a family and one of your family members or more happen to be like our friend Marcus from Missouri, who we talked about yesterday, who doesn't seem to really care about Hillary Clinton's record. He's going to vote for her because she's Democrat, because she stands for what he believes in, whatever. This is the kind of stuff that you can use in a conversation, because if you're talking to anybody out there that has any knowledge about what's going on, and they're just, what, this just flashed across my mind here.
Uh-oh.
And it's so indicative or so demonstrative of what I'm talking about in terms of the left controlling the narrative. When we look at this stuff like this, information's coming out. The hearings, for all intents and purposes, as far as we know right now, are on hold. If there's going to be any more hearings, I don't know. But they had their shot at Hillary, and they weren't able to take her down, as if we knew that.
Yeah.
But here's the point. I want to just step off real quick and talk about the Planned Parenthood shooting, because there's a point there that I can now relate back to what Joe's talking about.
Can you hold that thought for just 1 second, John? Let me get this one last thing out, and then I'll be done with the emails things, okay?
Okay.
All right, so 15th September 2012, and his subject is, this is from Michael J.M., and it's actually going to be going to Hillary HROD at HROD17 at clintonemail.com. All right, if that server's really on. But anyhow, basically, it's the subject is it's a blank subject. So that's what some of the stuff you're going to have to actually go in and if you're actually seeing, hey, death note from Benghazi, you're not going to see anything like that. There could be, you're going to have to actually find a subject. All right, and this was per discussion at deputies. Here are revised talking points for the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Let me know what you think. And it said, the current available information suggests that demonstrations in Benghazi were spontaneous, inspired by protests at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, and evolved into a direct assault against U.S. consulate and subsequently its annex. There are indications that extremists participated in violent demonstrations. This assessment may change as additional information is collected and analyzed and is currently available. And as currently available information continues to be evaluated, the investigation is ongoing, and the U.S. government is working with the Libyan authorities to bring justice to those responsible for the deaths of U.S. citizens. And that was, the Saturday following the attack. And then this was so important that Hillary said, "Please print this out for me." Yes, I just wanted to, okay, I'm through with that. So to your bigger point, John, about the narrative going on with our friends who want to tear America down?
Well, I want to address the tone. The tone of these things is kind of like, it seems like they talk about this kind of stuff like you and I talk about the Rams, the football game on Sunday. Is Alabama still number one? That kind of stuff. It's like there seems to be this air of nonchalance about what's going on.
It's just so much. It's just business as usual. It's just another problem of doing business in the government. We have to solve this, and we'll get beyond it, and it'll go away.
Yeah, and in line with that, this idea of this is how the narrative is controlled. You could just get everybody on the same page as quick as you can. You establish the talking points, and then you go. And you just keep going. And no matter what type of opposition you run into, whatever facts surface, it doesn't really matter. You just keep going. You don't backpedal till you find somebody else that you can blame for it. Okay, that's the thing. And I was thinking about, the narrative and how quickly the left can organize when something like this happens. I want to talk about the situation on the campuses right now, the college campuses, how quickly they're organized. But I want to make a comment here about the Planned Parenthood shooting. And it's just something that just crossed my mind as we were talking here, and I noticed it last night.
Mm-hmm.
There was some article out there that was talking about the shooter and the fact that he was getting ready to appear in court. I think that the article was just pretty much about him appearing in court. And there's been something about he mumbled something to a police officer about no more baby parts, something like that. There's stories out there, there's stories floating out there that this guy is some kind of transgender guy, a genderqueer or some make or another, all this stuff, right? But one thing I noticed, was there was in this article, I looked at the comment section. I just want to see what kind of comments are coming out in the public right now on this stuff. And most of them, I'd say I went through maybe 50 to 60 of them, just scanned through them.
Yeah.
And I noticed one common denominator in every single post. Most of them were pro-Planned Parenthood. Okay? The shooter, horrible person, blah, 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 women's health issues, all the talking points. But almost every one of these posts had at the very end of it one statement. I stand with Planned Parenthood. And this was almost every single post. They said what they wanted to say, and the last line was, I stand with Planned Parenthood.
Was that a hashtag or just a statement?
No, just a statement.
Wow.
And so this is what dawned on me. Somebody has an organization that does this stuff for a living. Somebody has an organization that says, whenever this happens, we go out and this is what we say. Now, the comments were all different. They were all basically the same in context, but they were worded differently. This guy needs to be castrated, women's health, like I said, all the talking points, all the hatred, there were all kinds of things that were being said. But they all ended their tweets with the same statement, and it wasn't a hashtag. It just said, I stand with Planned Parenthood. That tells me there's a group of people out there that they can go to and say, hit this tweet.
Here's the issue.
Hit this site. This is what you want to say. And that tells me this is something that we're missing on the right. We don't have an organization that can go out to people and say, this is what we need to say to respond to this. This is how, and you can put it in your own words, but if we say, okay, abortion is not about women's health care. Okay, that's a point. That's our talking point. Now, how you want to express that is your thing. But the last thing you should say is, abortion is murder. Or abortion is not about, killing babies is not about women's health care. There you go, something like that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
And this is why they control the narrative. This goes back to what we were just talking about with the Thanksgiving thing. You keep punching out the lie, and you keep punching it out, and you keep punching it out, and people will join it. The true believers grab onto it, and they go with it. And it doesn't even really matter if you, at this point, it doesn't really matter if you're pro-abortion or anti-abortion. The idea that somebody walked into a Planned Parenthood. Here's another thing I saw happening out there. I'm going to say this real quick before I go to break.
Yeah.
There were people complaining. Somebody put a picture up on Facebook of 3 candles. And the 3 candles represented the 3 people killed in Planned Parenthood. 2 of them were people inside the clinic, and 1 was a police officer. Now, I don't know what the civilians were. I don't know if there were people there for abortions or if they were employees or, whatever, whoever they were. But somebody was complaining that the candle for the police officer was in the front of the other 2. And I want to know they're all equally as important. Okay? So I'm like,
wow.
What's the big deal? They're all equally dead. Okay? Now, here's
really?
I almost wanted to respond to that and say the police officer was there to protect lives. I would imagine the other 2 were there to take them. So, yeah, the police officer is more important. He was there to protect and serve. What were the other 2 doing? If they were employees, they're baby killers. So, the police officer is more important. I almost responded, and I said, nah, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, good thing.
But this is how the narrative, this is how weird it gets. So, anyway, we got to go to a break here. And when we come back, I'm gonna build on that because I want to talk about the report today that the number of racist claims on college campuses has almost tripled since Obama came into office. And it's because of things like this.
Yeah.
It's because of the way the narrative is being projected out there. So we're going to talk about that when we get back. And then before the show's over, we're going to talk about none other than our illustrious President, Barack Obama, over in Paris right now, trying to regulate the sun. So we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Right now it's time for Moments of Madness. Today on Moments of Madness. As Obama again embarks on yet another trip to yet another summit to address the most pressing issue in humanity's evolutionary existence, that of course being climate change, we can only speculate as to how he will use the opportunity to address America's shortcomings and fault from arm's reach of Ted Cruz by continuing to re-educate the world by scolding Americans who disagree with him as to who we are and what we represent. Other recited cliches permanently scrolled across his teleprompter like, "We need to do this now, and it's the right thing to do," are sure to be part of his press conference speeches on the state of the sunshine and the need to regulate it. And being Obama is in Paris just weeks after another terrorist attack, we can surely speculate with some assurance Obama will regurgitate perhaps his most used line of attack, along with his new phrase, "enough is enough," by claiming opposition to him is un-American and is not who we are. Working to fulfill his promise to fundamentally transform the United States of America, Obama has systematically targeted characteristics that identify and quantify American exceptionalism by presenting arguments and policies through a deconstructionist narrative that has effectively hypnotized his party, rendered Congress trepid, empowered the Supreme Court of the United States, and confused the rest of America and the world. Obama has, with uncanny conviction and theater, convinced a large segment of America that before he became president, America is a failed experiment due to its greed and bigotry documented and practiced through our Constitution. Here's the madness. Given the state of political chaos created by him since he came into office, Obama's claim we are not the America his opponents fear he is destroying has an eerie ring of reality to it. Truth has become irrelevant, while lies are simply justified as means to an end. This has allowed morality to be seen through the eye of the beholder, licensing campaign strategies around election time that erase red lines of decency within a civil society like an Obama promise on foreign policy. Opportunity has been redefined as entitlement due to the socio-economic position of one's ancestors. National unity is seen as submission to the collective at the expense of the individual. The truth is, the America Obama claims exists does indeed thrive in his own head and the heads of his disciples.
The America that passed laws to rectify the evils of slavery, thus allowing him to become president, in his mind, is the same country that still owes reparations to those still enslaved by their own prejudices, bigotry, and racism. The same America that was established on the right to property earned, no taxation without representation, and freedom to worship who one wishes does exist, as long as that property is taxed, regulated, and redistributed in the name of socio-economic justice, and one's religion doesn't exalt a Judeo-Christian God over Allah. American foreign policies of centuries past that have preserved our borders and our freedom do indeed exist in Obama's mind, as long as those borders remain open to those who would break our laws by crossing them to rob our resources and wealth, or to kill us due to some hell-bent religion that despises prosperity. The same America that has embedded in its founding documents that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, exists for Obama, as long as contraception is paid for by taxpayers and taking an unborn child's life for no other reason than not wanting the responsibility is considered health care. In truth, the America Obama believes exists does not, at least not yet. Benjamin Franklin was quoted in 1787 in response to a question from Mrs. Powell, who asked him upon the ramification of our Constitution, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" Franklin responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." The question before us as real Americans is, can we keep our republic from becoming Obama's dreams from its father? This next election, I believe, will determine if we fulfill the dreams of those like Obama. If we fail to keep our republic, the American dream will surely become the American nightmare. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness.
And we are back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to kind of just shift gears just for a moment here. And it deals with the general theme of what we're talking about here, but just kind of go in a little bit different direction here. And we're talking, I guess if I was going to paraphrase what we've been talking, what I've been trying to do over maybe the past few weeks, is to really kind of, I guess, really kind of make people aware of the importance of recapturing the narrative that's out there today. The media and the politicians involved, actually on both sides of the aisle and in between, you know, anybody that's got some kind of vested interest in the outcome of something, especially from the leftist side, they have really done a very, very good job of controlling the narrative. And they've been able to take things that are really minor. They've been able to make minor things into major things. You know, the issue here, I was reading today about how intent the media is right now in trying to, you know, just dissect the smallest thing they can find. Most recently, this issue with Trump talking about Muslims in Jersey jumping up and down during 9/11. And everybody's disputing whether that's true or not. It really doesn't mean anything. But if you can make a big deal about it, you know, it's better than having to deal with the issues. You know, if we can make Trump look like some kind of Islamophobic, you know, radical or something, then we've accomplished our purpose. The Harry Reid theorem. You know, if I lie about it and it works, it's okay. You know, the end justifies the means. That kind of thing. And one of the things that we talk about in terms of this kind of stuff is how the narrative influences and moves people in a certain direction. If you've never read the book by Eric Hoffer called The True Believer, you really should. You could really read it in a couple of hours. It's not a long read, but it's a very informative book as to how you motivate a group of people that feel disfranchised or disconnected from something, and how you get that group of people to organize and move in a certain direction. how you change paradigms, things like that. And that's what Barack Obama has been very effective in doing since he took office.
Yes, that would be akin to community organizing, wouldn't it?
That's basically what it is. Sal Alinsky lays out rules for organizers. Eric Hoffman explains the mentality of one. He takes the philosophy behind what he calls the true believer, and how you get a mass number, how you get the masses to move in a certain direction, what you look for, the characteristics and the traits of the people, and how you pander to them and stuff. It's more, and it's actually a very conservative view on things. The way he does it, it's not like he's trying to teach anybody anything. He's trying to reveal how history has evolved over the course of humanity, and how movements and revolutions and things like that are started. He kind of gets into the psychological slant of this stuff. And it's a very, very informative book. I would recommend it to anybody that really wants to know how it is that you can have so many people in this country support somebody like Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton, even though they know they're crooks, or they're corrupt, or they're dishonest, or they're liars, but they still support him. Why you can get somebody like Marcus calling into the Breitbart Saturday News and say, you should run this guy. He isn't going to win, and I wouldn't vote for him anyways. But I'm going to vote for my guy, even though my guy is corrupt and a liar and everything else. It doesn't matter. That's the mindset of a true believer. So we saw this. We're seeing these things kind of, in some regard, come to fruition. And one of the things that Barack Obama has been very good at doing is appealing to the college crowd. And Bernie Sanders is even showing us more how they have fallen victim to the true believer philosophy. Just go where I tell you to go and do what I tell you to do. And I'm sure if you went to all these people, let's say you go to a Bernie Sanders rally, and you probably see, from what I'm hearing, you probably see like 70% of the people there are college kids, okay? I bet if you went up and asked those 70% of those college kids, tell me something about Bernie Sanders other than the fact he's from Vermont, I bet you they couldn't tell you anything. I can't tell you anything about Bernie Sanders. Did he ever sign any legislation? Did he ever create any legislation? Did he ever write anything? Did he ever do anything? No, he's kind of like a Kennedy. He hangs out, and he gets credit for hanging out. The Kennedys never do anything. Show me some legislation that Ted Kennedy wrote his 33 years in the Senate. You won't find it.
Oh, yeah, you can. It's not good, but you can find it.
Well, I mean, he co-authored stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, co-authoring means
the immigration rewrite.
Yeah, co-authoring means that you let somebody else write it and you put your name on it.
Oh, well, they all do that.
Okay.
I'm co-authoring it right now.
Yeah, but the point being is that most of these people that have been around since dirt in Congress really haven't done anything to deserve. Hillary Clinton, for that matter, what has she done? We've seen it time and time again. People, name me something Hillary's done. She hasn't done anything.
A good thing?
Oh, she's raised money. She's good at raising money. And, that kind of stuff. But here's my point.
Hillary, yeah, let's get off to Hillary.
When we talk about the shift in America, the America that Obama thinks should exist versus the America that does exist, at least right now, you have to look at the effect and the influence of things that he's been able to perpetrate the big lie to, and it's worked. And nowhere is it more evident than college campuses. Now, we've been hearing all this stuff in the last few weeks about these protests and these demonstrations and violence and this, that, and the other, which, by the way, I understand today that there was a black gentleman at the Missouri campus, the one that's kind of the center of everything right now, and he had posted a threat that he was going to kill 16 white people.
That's negative, John. That was in Chicago.
Oh, was that Chicago? You're right. I'm sorry, Chicago.
That was in reaction to the police officer.
Okay. Well, they have since released him. He was released today.
The police officer?
No, the black guy that was going to kill the 16 white people in response to the 16 I forget what it was. The details of it was
Yeah,
they had a black man out there in social media threatening to kill 16 white people. He was going to kill faculty people, students, and wait for the cops to come. And he wanted to kill white cops.
And they let him go?
And they let him go today.
Oh.
Okay?
What could go wrong?
Because he apologized. Okay.
Oh, I guess if the cop apologizes now, he can go home.
All right, but let me get to the real point here. I may not actually be able to do it here before the break, but I'll at least say it here. I pulled up a report today from the Christian Science Monitor by Molly Jackson entitled "More Than 1,000 Racism Complaints at U.S. Colleges. What Happened?" The number of complaints received by the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has increased throughout Obama's years in office, but few students wind up resolving their cases through the Department of Education, opting instead for campus-based demonstrations. Now, hang on to those words there, because what this article just revealed is the tactic of community organizing. They filed a complaint, they didn't get answers on their complaints, and so they end up demonstrating. And I'll explain that to you when I get back from our break here, but right now we got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. And you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dry Report. And I'm talking about the increase in racism complaints that is circulating across college campuses all across America. And, Joe, you have some numbers for me on the number of the Department of Education Civil Rights site.
Yeah, the Department of Education and Office of Civil Rights. That's where these complaints would go to from the campuses. And just some data from that. During the Obama administration, the Education Department has received 1,073 complaints about racial harassment. In higher education, generally the number of complaints a year is up compared to prior years. Since 2010, the smallest number of complaints in a fiscal year, it was 137. That was in 2010. In the 5 years prior to the Obama administration, the number of complaints never exceeded 95 and was generally smaller than that in the 50s. An increase in the complaints, it does not necessarily mean that the situation on campuses is worse, since a variety of factors, such as outreach to encourage complaints, or the government's signal and interest in enforcement can be a factor in the number of complaints. So that's what we have so far. And so far, of the 1,073 complaints, 227 have been closed.
Wow. Well, I want to add to that by saying this. I'm talking about these complaints. The article that I'm looking at here, Molly Jackson from the Christian Science Monitor, 1,073 complaints since Obama has come in office. Since 2008, they have filed complaints of racial harassment with the Department of Education. 1,073 in total, an average of 134 per year, compared to about 50 per year during the previous administration. Now, here's the thing. It goes on then to justify and to rationalize these complaints. It says that inside higher education, that fewer than 25% of these complaints have been closed, either through a letter of resolution or through being dropped for lack of evidence. Now, take Joe's numbers there that he was just giving you. I'm going to now recite to you a rule out of Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. And you're going to see something here. It says here, the major premise for tactics is the development of this is rule number 10 in Rules for Radicals. The major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. It is this unceasing pressure that results in the reactions from the opposition that are essential for the success of the campaign. It should be remembered not only that the action is in the reaction, but that the action is itself the consequence of reaction, and of reaction to the reaction ad infinitum. The pressure produces the reaction, and constant pressure sustains action. This is what we're seeing here, this type of stuff here. The idea that people are filing racial complaints and not getting answers or the complaints are not being resolved is not the issue. That's not the reason they're being filed. The reason they're being filed is to maintain pressure on the people in the institution, the faculty, and of course, which allows the media to be able to be used to get the message out that these complaints are not being resolved. Now, what qualifies or what quantifies a racial discrimination complaint? It's supposed to be something that hinders you as a student in terms of enrollment, tuition, something like that, because of your sex, gender, race, culture, whatever. But that's not what's happening here. These people are complaining about everything. They're complaining about, whatever they feel like complaining about. Well, so it's not the complaint. And I imagine a lot of these complaints are just sitting in terminal baskets going, this doesn't fall within the jurisdiction of what a complaint, how a complaint can be lodged. Well, but that's not the point. The point is that they've tripled the number of complaints for the purpose of applying pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they're not being resolved isn't, like you said, isn't an issue, because sometimes, as it was being said by a Department of Education official who said, don't quote me on this. He said, there are many reasons why complaints don't get pursued. Among the common reasons are the person who files this complaint decides to withdraw it. The complaint involves something that took place in context for which a college has no legal responsibility, or the complainant has filed with another avenue, for example, suing in court. So, again, more pressure, or sometimes it just, never mind, it wasn't anything the school could be held accountable for. I was just complaining to complain.
Right, and now let me just quote something here from Nebraska.
Complaining to complain is exactly what you're saying. It's just one more complaint. We'll just keep adding them on, piling them on. Right.
Now, this quote that came out of University of Nebraska president Hank Bounds, who's involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, okay? And I guess they had a Black Lives Matter event on the campus of University of Nebraska. He says the first goal is to listen to what the students have to say. See, that is the goal.
Yep.
Listen to what we've got to say. Now, listening to what somebody has to say and feeling the need to do something about it are two different things. But the point being is that if you don't do anything about it, you have now set yourself up as a target.
Yeah.
Because now I have lodged my complaint. I have made my needs known. I have voiced my displeasure, and you're not doing anything about it. Therefore, you are racist.
Yep.
Okay? That is, and so what's that do? As soon as you throw that race card out there, what do you got? Pressure. Now you've got presidents resigning. You've got people walking things back. You've got people being put on administrative leave. All these things are happening for the purpose of just create the chaos. Another one of Alinsky's rules, and this is something that applies very much with what goes on with Obama on a daily basis. The seventh rule, according to Sal Alinsky, is a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Now, we ask the question, why is it that it seems like every day there's something different out there? Because you can't let it go on too long because the people involved burn out. They get tired of it. You got a bunch of these white kids sitting out there holding Black Lives Matter signs. Okay, that's great until Friday night's football game or the next rave party or, gee, the new iPhone is out, I got to go down to the mall. That kind of thing. But it creates... You can't let it go on too long. So what do you got to do? We got to create something else. And the idea here that how quickly, like I was saying earlier, this thing at Planned Parenthood, how quickly these people, it seems like there was some order disseminated amongst the masses there. Make sure that whatever you tweet at the end of it, you put, I stand with Planned Parenthood. Okay, so you kick it out there and you just keep going. Next week it'll be something else. It'll be something else. This thing about this guy going in and shooting up Planned Parenthood, by this time next week, it's not going to be about Planned Parenthood. It's going to be about him being some kind of redneck Tea Partier, whether or not that's true or not. Everybody always prefaces their comments these days with, well, we really don't know the facts, but this is what we think.
Yeah, allegedly.
and since I think it must be true. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this all goes. But I wanted to just kind of get you aware here. Why has the number of complaints across college campuses on racism increased? They've increased because the president has encouraged it.
Yes.
He has created the environment, and he has told these college students that you're paying for your college education. You're paying, it's not taxpayers paying for it. You're getting loans of taxpayer money, and that shouldn't be that way. And it's because the white man wants to keep you down.
Okay.
That's what it is. And same thing with the riots. Why is it that somebody, what was it, one black guy out here the other day, they were interviewing him about police, the Chicago shooting, the police officer, and they're saying, well, the reason we don't call the police is because we're more worried about the police than we are the criminals. And I'm like, what? You're more worried about the guy shooting you than you are about calling the police to protect you from being shot. There's some screwed up thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta shut the show down for the day. We're done, and I hope that made some sense.
Yeah,
I was kind of winging it there, just kind of going off the cuff there, but I just really want to drive this home over the next couple of weeks, that we need to look at the big picture. We need to say, we're at the end of the year, let's stand back, let's look at the big picture, let's see what's happening, and let's take a look at what we can do. Let's kind of speculate what we got coming up here in the next 6 months. With the election next year, anything can happen. So
now, if I could leave us with one thing, John, is don't get caught up in this narrative. Stay out of the narrative. Don't fall into the narrative. Quit. Exactly.
It's not going to get you anywhere but heartache and headaches. Yes. And nobody needs that. So God bless you. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless y'all.
Amen.
Thanks
for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.